Welcome to the Numbers Game. I'm Jason and I'm joined by Nick and Marty. How you going today, guys?
Going really well, thanks, Jace. Very excited about today's episode. We're going to be talking about one of Australia's favourite sons in football. We call it soccer over here, but football in general. So I think you'll get a lot out of this in regards to leadership and lessons in leadership. Nick, how are you?
I'm going well, mate. Going well. Feeling better now, though. So Jace dropped the F-bomb about 10 times. So I'm thinking that I'm in pretty good space at the moment compared to some. So I think he's still got that tweak in the neck. It, just aggravates you, even if you're angry or not. It's just there niggling away. So it's good to get off some off numbers and onto some leadership stuff. Been very tax and money focused lately. So this will be a good one, particularly given how relevant it is in the news at the moment, how much cash this guy is getting paid to lead football clubs. Unbelievable. Jace, how are you, mate?
I'm good. And let's not forget the FIFA Women's World Cup as well, which is kicking off not too far away. Be exciting to see the ladies take the World Cup in Australia on home soil. That'll be pretty exciting. It's all happening in this the world of football. And as you said, Marty, we know it as soccer, but when I was in the UK last December, I had to learn to call it football pretty quickly so I didn't get beaten up by the lads over there. Exciting times. So before we crack in, I'm just going to quickly run you guys through today's show sponsor, which are the great team and lovely people at Innovate. So as we know, Innovate are responsible for all things finance, wealth, commercial, and also cars and equipment. It is often that time of the year. There's some end of financial year sales or some new financial year sales for cars and equipment too. So plenty of opportunities to get in and get things sorted. So if you need a hand, reach out to the team at Innovate so they can get you covered and all sorted. Marty, what's happening today? Talk us through your leadership lessons.
Well, you know that we all love sport. Yeah, cricket, football, basketball.
Bombers.
Throw anything at us. It's Bombers, of course. Adelaide Crows for Nick. But Ange Postecoglou is doing some amazing things overseas, and I've just been reading up a little bit on him, and it's I couldn't be more impressed. And what sparked it initially is one of the guys that work here, Mark. He was coached in under-12s by Ange, and he was just saying that he was just amazing even back then, and he far exceeded everyone's expectation as a coach, which makes me think Mark must have been a fairly decent player. I have to test him on that. And he's now, he's Australian manager that's won the Scottish Cup with the Celtics over there in Scotland, and he's won 5 out of 6 trophies available. But his record spans, when you look at that, he's got 2 National Soccer League championships, 2 A-League championships, 1 AFC Asian Cup, 1 J-League Japan championship, and what he's done in Scotland as well. So very, very impressive. And I thought, let's rip out some of these lessons that that he's renowned for. And one of the first ones that I thought was interesting was his 10,000 hours. Like, he's just a student of the game. Like, even when he was very young, everything you read upon him when he was playing, he would analyse the game. He'd look at techniques. He'd look at stats. He was just absolutely in love with the game, but he loved the specifics in regards to everything about the game. And I think that's a really common trait of people that are highly successful. They're not only passionate, but they have a high level of detail around all their learnings just purely because they do love it so much. So that really stood out. The other thing I really liked was he had individual and team accountability as well. So some people are very good performers individually, superstars, but are they team orientated? So he would always see how the individual tracked against their targets, and he'd also look on how that team member was impacting the team in general to ensure they were all pressing forward together. And I really like that because we see that in business all the time, where someone might be an outlier in how good they are, but yet they can still be toxic within a team culture. So it's, I don't know, Jace, any response to that one?
Oh, mate, just if you remember what Nick said about some of the words I was throwing around pre-show, you might be able to pick up what we're putting down. No, just kidding. Look, I definitely agree. We talk about, our team culture all the time and how it's the greater good of the business is more important than any one person's individual efforts. You can have one person individually crushing it, but if they're dragging down the team around them rather than lifting them up, it's never going to be a great result. And if you're a Ted Lasso fan, it might have been like when Jamie Tart was being a bit of a punce and not a good team player, and then now look at him, he's absolutely crushing it and kicking goals, and the whole team loves him. So you want team players that are lifting up those around them and contributing to the collective team goals or the collective business goals. So great point, though.
Yeah, it's very much our own version of Ted Lasso, isn't it? You'd swear if the Ant Postecoglou story was written into history, and Ted Lasso came out a few years later. There's definitely some synergies there, which is quite weird when you think about it. Mate, the thing I really liked is just the focus on communication and his ability to communicate with all stakeholders. I think one of the things that the article said was that he actually talks to the players probably the least out of all of the stakeholders in the organisation. So whether that be, I think you referred to the person opening the door, but the boot cleaners, the kit managers, whatever it might be, the Nates, if you watch Ted Lasso. So I think that really got me. Obviously, the players, there's got to be a certain amount of dialogue with the players, and they're probably the most important as far as communication goes. But he would have other coaches around him that would be doing that. And his job was to make sure, and I know a lot of football, not just AFL clubs, but a lot of sports in general are going this way, kind of like the NFL approach, where you're just really managing and leading the group and the organisation, and you have people, on the ground doing the grunt work for you. So it's very much like business and being a CEO, I guess, isn't it? It's making sure that all the pieces of the puzzle are in the right place so that everything works well.
And if you haven't seen Ted Lasso, Nick got me onto it. It is absolutely amazing. It's a perfect series to watch if you like sports and you like business and you just love that cultural connection that comes with team sports as well. And I see that very much similar to business as well. And we'll do an episode on Tim Lasso, I'm sure, down the track.
Timmy Lasso.
Oh, sorry, Ted Lasso. But it's an absolute cracker. There's a lot of great life lessons. I was
going to cut in. I was going to say there, Marty, just on the next point about being a great communicator, that it also talked about the ability to articulate the vision for the team and getting everyone to buy into it. So that didn't mean that he had to individually go around to each player and spend a lot of time with them. He was going from very high level, talking about the vision for the team and the vision for what they wanted to achieve and getting everyone to buy in and believe that. And if you can get people to believe in the vision and know what they're rocking up, working towards, that's one of the biggest things that you can achieve as a leader. And I think that as one of his greatest strengths was to be able to share that. And, you think, going back closer to home, you talk about Dimmer and Brendan Gale at the Richmond Football Club coming out saying, we're going to win 3 premierships within the next 10 years. And Dimmer was very, very good at articulating that vision and communicating that with the team, the stakeholders, everyone else. And nobody believed it at the time. But the Tigers were a rabble. They'd finished 9th multiple times, multiple years in a row. But they stayed true to their vision and that communication to the key stakeholders, the supporters, the sponsors, and they went on to be able to do that. So never underestimate the power of vision, and that's probably something that Ange has done really well.
Yeah, and that's what they said about him as well. Like he could do it throughout. High stakeholders to the doorman, everyone. And it reminds me of that NASA analogy where, everyone that works there is putting a man on the moon. And it's or a person on the moon in this day and age. So it's incredible to have everyone buying a vision at all different levels, at media, at stakeholders, players and fans to that degree. So everyone's on the path. And he has that ability because every club he's gone to, he does a turnaround and he can take that club and turn them into champions. So he's got a system in play. He gets the culture integrated. There's a level of humility in it, but yet there's also a real drive to know where you're going. Otherwise, where are you going if you don't know that? And I like his specialized knowledge, like just attributes like he studies the matches relentlessly. He questions the coaches around him. in order to, getting the efficiencies to create the, to actualize the vision. He analyzes mistakes. He analyzes techniques. He has a commitment to attacking football, and he has this strategy called ball on the ground. That because there's less margin for error if you're controlling the ball on the ground rather than having it aerial all the time. So he's got a plan that he's really confident with, and he can execute on that plan. And that's always a telltale sign when he can go to various different clubs and duplicate the performance. I mean, that's the amazing thing about what he's doing here. So it shows you how important not only the vision is, because you've got to have something to believe in to get people up in the morning, get them striving towards that win. And you've got to have great execution on various different areas of competencies within the sport or within the business as well. So I thought that was really, really impressive. And then the last piece of that puzzle was, with hard work and constant improvement, you can achieve anything. You can challenge yourself in anything. So there's still that work ethic, but they don't get down on people for making mistakes. It's about how do we rectify the mistake to continue on to the path to that vision, rather than beating people over the head with a stick because they've done something wrong. That's really important.
When you said all that, Marty, all I thought about was, when you listen to coaches and captains of clubs, whether it's football, soccer, the whole shebang, they talk about the process. It's not one person being any bigger than anyone else. It's about following a process. So through being relentless and making sure that he studied the tapes and, everybody's trained up on their role. What's their role and what is the process he wants everyone to follow? And that's then how he's able to roll that out at different clubs as he's moved around to be able to achieve that success. So, and I think, you probably, if you do listen to any of the coaches after games when they talk about it, they don't talk about one particular player being a star of the team. They talk about everybody on the team played their role and followed the process. And you can see it between years too, where some clubs are a total rabble one year. They get a change of coach and a couple of, young blood coming through, and all of a sudden the following year they're up and about and they're achieving great things through, hard work and just those 1%ers, constant improvement to make sure that everyone knows why they're there, what they're doing, and they're following it. So really important lessons.
Yeah, it's amazing. This I think quick book mention. I've just finished reading 11 Rings, which is Phil Jackson's book. For those who don't know who he is, he was the guy that took the Bulls to win rings, and then the Lakers as well. So I've just thought of this, but what I'm saying is it's amazing how an individual can have such an impact with a proven system, process, and way of leadership. So Phil Jackson was quite out there in the way that he did lead. He had players meditating. Was gifted at bringing superstars together and making them work as a team. He also had an offensive style called the triangle, which he implemented at the Bulls. He then took that same triangle strategy to the Lakers, brought together a team that was, they had, not to go down the basketball path too much, but they had Kobe and Shaq, two superstars who pretty much hated each other on the same team. So he got those guys to work together, and then they ended up winning three rings as well. So and this is the same situation. One individual has gone to numerous clubs, implemented the same systems and processes and style of leadership, and has brought success. And I've got no doubt that he's going to do it at Spurs as well, Postecoglou. So it's just amazing the impact an individual can have on a group of people.
He's the first Australian manager ever to have an English Premier League side. Is that right?
I think that would be right.
Massive. Yeah, I think that is right. But yeah, you're right there, Nick. I think that's the thing. I think with people generally, if there's any lack of confidence in the individual, the system can provide that confidence in regards to a winning formula, and then the development of the confidence of the individual emotively as well. And we saw on a very small scale, even in a country cricket club where it was a young group, it took 6 years to win a premiership, and we had the system in play in regards to what we thought it would take to win a flag, but it was just the development of those young men to go, who did they need to be in order to optimize this system. So a lot of work went into the system, but it also went into improving the individual's capability and giving them confidence to back themselves and not getting too hard on themselves to make a mistake. Definitely analyze the mistake in order to, if you're getting out, like I said, you're getting out LBW, 6 times in a season, you've got a technique issue. So you can adjust that and maybe you're out once a year. So it's all those incremental specifics on the individual, but when they've got buy-in on the vision and the system level, it's amazing how people can really accelerate their own performance. And this is one thing that I've always been very fond of, is not only the strategy approach, which is vital, but Ange's ability to just create passion and positive emotion within his teams. And I think you need that in any team. But I love this. I love what he did here. He would talk to players before they ran out on the ground, and he would say, think about a person in your life that when you started believed in you more than anyone else. Think about how that person will feel tonight when we win. That's who you're walking out with tonight. Now, I love that on so many different levels, because all of a sudden, instead of 11 against 11, it's 22 against 11, right? If you're taking the person that believed in you and trusted your ability. So if you've got any doubt in your own capability, that's going to lock you into your best self in that moment. And I just thought that was a great exhibition of what he does to get people really fired up and ready to take the goal. And I thought that was fantastic. Guys, what did you think?
It's good.
Love it.
I like it.
That's gold. I saw the 22 against 11 in the show notes and thought, oh, what's that? I like that. But that's fantastic.
Well, that's even in business. Like they say, like we have an official advisory board, but I know a lot of individuals that have, it's like being a kid and you put up your footballers on the wall. It's no different, where you would have people that are successful in business or in other areas of life. Like I love Roger Federer's authenticity to how he loves tennis and how he promotes the sport and wants to advance the sport. Like you can have those mentors, by reading their books, like what Nick was just saying about Phil Jackson. You can have those mentors in your life, and you might have 4 or 5 people you really admire that have done things you would love to emulate, and you can ask them, what would they do in this situation? It's a really powerful way to take you out of your own mindset, and based off already the studies you've done where you're naturally connected to, it's a really great way to get that diversity of how would they handle a situation and how you might be able to take something away and implement it in your own life or your own business. So really powerful visualization and strategy tool.
Well, Marty, I think you've absolutely nailed the sharing of the leadership lessons here, and I definitely know that I can't wait to roll it out. Then also, side note, can't wait to read that book that Nick's talking about with Phil Jackson as well. There's just a plethora of gold.
And let's see how Ange goes with Spurs. Let's see what he produces again, hopefully.
All the best to Ange, and until next time.
Game over.